Hello everyone! We're Diplomats team prepared the two-part special to commemorate the 2024 Korea-Africa Summit, which was held for the first time in Korean history. Did you catch part 1, which aired last week? We met ambassadors from African countries and diplomats in various fields connecting Korea and Africa last week. And today, we are revealing to you part 2 of the 2024 Korea-Africa Summit special prepared by our Are Diplomats team. We will be showing you the summit site that we personally visited.
Can I film you?
Aren't you curious about the diplomats we met there? Let's begin this week's episode.
안녕하세요 여러분, 저는 지금 아리랑 TV에 있고요. 지금 시간은 새벽 6시 17분입니다. 오늘은 6월 4일입니다. 바로 한 아프리카 정상회의가 열리는 날이죠. 그래서 저와 저희 팀은 지금 한 아프리카 정상회의가 열리는 킨텍스로 출발하려고 합니다. 그럼 저희와 함께 킨텍스로 가보실까요? 가시죠 여러분.
It takes about an hour by car from 서초구 Seoul, where Arirang TV is located, to KINTEX in Goyang, where Korea-Africa Summit is being held.
스케줄 보내드렸는데 그 스케줄을 좀 참고하시면 되고, 얼마나 촬영을 할 수 있을지는 잘 모르겠어요. 모든 건 다 현장에 달려있고 시간이나 이런 게 다 지금 정해진 건 없어요. 다 현장 상황에 달려있어요.
We are almost at our destination.
도착했습니다. 도착 시간 7시 2분.
We need an ID card to enter the summit venue. We all applied and received it in advance.
이걸 위해 사진을 새로 찍었다는 한 아프리카 정상회의를 열심히 커버해 보겠습니다. Are Diplomat과 함께하는 한 아프리카 정상회의 지금 시작합니다. 고고. 근데 저 마이크 돌고 있나요? 오, 바로 여기입니다 여러분.
This is KINTEX, the largest convention center in Korea. This is where the Korea-Africa Summit is being held.
탐지견 48개국이 참여하는 회의니까 그만큼 많은 정상들이 참여를 하잖아요. 그러니까 보안이 굉장히 중요하죠. 보안이. 그래서 탐지견들도 많고 경찰 특공대 차도 나와 있습니다 여러분. 오케이.
After completing security procedures, we entered KINTEX. Now, we're off to find the media center. This is the media center. This will be our base camp for today.
안녕하세요.
네. 누리끼리 왔어?
아리랑 뉴스팀입니다. 몇 시에 오셨어요?
일단 연출 한번 하면 우리 6시.
6시요?
6시.
저희 너무 늦게 왔습니다. Hi, where are you from?
마리테니아.
감사합니다. Mauritania, hi. Could you say hi to my camera? Hi.
Hello.
I was about to have some coffee, but I tried making small talk with the African journalist standing next to me. Mauritania is a country located in northwest Africa. Korea and Mauritania established diplomatic relations in 1963.
Good. Sale is very good. Very good.
So is this your first time visiting Korea?
These people could be called diplomats in that they connect Korea and Africa through their articles.
일단 오늘의 스케줄을 간단하게 말씀을 드리면 7시 50분부터 9시까지 정상들이 도착을 하고 9시부터 11시 45분 사이에 정상회의 개회식 그리고 오전 세션이 시작이 돼요. 2시 반부터 4시 20분까지 오후 세션, 정상회의 오후 세션, 그리고 4시 40분부터 4시 50분까지 공동 언론 발표가 있습니다.
The journalists in the media center were very enthusiastic about their coverage.
오, 여러분 지금 정상분들이 들어오기 시작했습니다.
Leaders and representatives of 48 African countries and the heads of 4 international organizations attended today's summit.
지금 여기 킨텍스 어딘가에 있는 게이트로 들어오고 계시는데 저희가 현장에 가서 찍을 수가 없어요. 보안 문제 때문에. 그래서 저희도 지금 미디어 센터 안에 있는 모니터로 지켜보고 있습니다. 지금 한 아프리카 정상회의장에서는 아리랑 TV가 계속 나오고 있습니다, 여러분. 자랑스러운 아리랑. 이제 곧 개회식이 시작할 것 같아요.
한 아프리카 협력의 대원칙이 될 함께 만드는 미래의 3가지 방향성에 대해 말씀드리고자 합니다. 먼저 동반 성장입니다. 아프리카는 젊고 역동적이며 자원이 풍부합니다. 한국은 첨단 기술과 다양한 경험을 보유하고 있습니다. 서로의 장점을 잘 결합하여 지속 가능한 해법을 찾는다면 글로벌 도전과 위기를 우리는 함께 헤쳐나갈 수 있을 것입니다. 마지막으로 강한 연대를 실천해야 합니다.
Where are you?
I received a call from someone I knew, a diplomat from the embassy of an African country in Seoul. Before the summit, we had been talking in advance about interviewing his country's head of delegation, and he's calling about this.
What? Like right now?
He asked if the interview could take place now.
10-15 minutes to set the camera? Okay. 감독님 지금 인터뷰해도 돼? 지금 인터뷰 잡혔어. 지금 갑자기 인터뷰가 잡혀가지고 일단 세팅하러 갑니다.
We will set up the cameras here. I met my diplomat friend who had called me. He is Jonti Chilambo, the first secretary of the Embassy of Zambia in Korea. Here is our first diplomat we will be interviewing today.
So how is it?
Very nice.
This is Zambia's head of delegation, the acting foreign minister of Zambia.
Okay, so how do you feel about attending the first Korea-Africa summit?
It's a real honor and pleasure to be here for my first time in Seoul. And the first feeling is the feeling of warmth that comes with being in this wonderful city. The summit itself is a very important summit. Of course, as you've said, the inaugural first ever summit, speaking to the relations between Korea and Africa as a whole. I'm from Zambia, and we have our own unique aspects of how we want to cooperate with Korea. I think the sky is the limit.
Which specific areas would you like to cooperate with Korea in the future?
There is a lot of scope for tourism, for example. We boast, if I can say that, of a lot of tourist attractions. The Victoria Falls, for example, one of the 7 wonders of the world, is partially hosted by Zambia. We have warm people as well, friendly people that the world would benefit from knowing and experiencing. And of course, we invite our brothers and sisters from Korea to come, and we share in that culture. We have also a very advanced, if I can call it that, mining sector. We have critical minerals that are important for an industrialized country such as Korea. For example, in the electric battery value chain, we have minerals such as manganese, we have minerals such as copper, you name them. That we can exploit together as partners. So I can speak for hours on end over this. I just wanted to give a small snippet of what we have.
So what were discussed during the summit, and what were you particularly interested in the summit?
Yes, so it's ongoing. As we speak now, the summit is ongoing. But you'll be aware that the ministers of foreign affairs met before that. I believe some of the key areas are around mutual cooperation, around also the development assistance and increased trade finance into Africa on the part of the Korean government. It is quite clear that Korea has put its eye on Africa as a strategic partner. Also, some of the key areas include climate change and building resilience and adaptation around climate change from the perspective of the globe as a whole, but also from the perspective of cooperation between Korea and Africa. These are some of the areas. Of course, there will be a declaration at the end of the summit which will speak in more detail to what we have decided to do in terms of cooperation between our two regions. But certainly, it's clear that the basis of our cooperation is that one of mutual respect, partnership, and equality.
Let's hope that Korea and Africa will use the summit as an opportunity to move toward a mutually cooperative relationship.
여보세요?
I got another phone call from an embassy.
Yes.
It was a diplomat from the embassy of an African country in Korea.
Hi. Oh, you're here.
He was asking if we could meet for a moment and talk.
Okay.
Why did this embassy contact me?
Okay. Thank you. 방금 대사님 연락 받았는데 대통령 할 수도 있어.
Yes, although we are not 100% sure, your diplomats team might be able to interview the president of an African country. The diplomat I talked to over the phone about the president's interview is here, so I decided to meet him in person.
Can I film you? No? You can? Sorry, okay.
I will end filming here because I couldn't get his permission to film. I was told the president is positively considering an interview with us.
Yes, I'm working on it, the questions.
I have to send them the questions I will be asking in advance.
출발.
The president's interview has been logged in at 3 p.m.
일단 세팅부터 해놓고 오시면 바로 딱 하려고요.
While setting up, we could see a lot of representatives from African countries walking around. It was amazing because it wasn't a sight we usually see. We've set up and we're waiting for the president to arrive. While waiting for the interview, I received a phone call.
Hello?
There had been a change in schedule and we were told the interview had to be cancelled.
끝날 때까지 기다려.
It was unfortunate, but there was nothing we could do. Cancellations are bound to happen in these fast-paced situations. On the way back to the media center, I found some people holding filming equipment. I tried talking to them.
Hi. Where are you from? Malawi? Yes. Can I interview you?
He readily responded to my sudden request for an interview.
My name is Robert Kalindiza. I'm the spokesperson in the office of the President and Cabinet in Malawi.
Oh, so you work for presidential office?
Yes.
Oh, so you're not...
I was wondering what he was thinking about this summit.
The most important thing is the relationship between Korea and the African countries. So this is paramount, and being the first of its kind, it's very important that African countries should also benefit from what Korea is doing and also from what Africa is doing. So the stories should vary on infrastructure, road networking, technology, and also international relations. So these are the kind of stories that we need to to write so that we develop together. Of course, Korea is already developed, but African countries can learn a lot from this summit.
Can I interview you? I'm from Arirang TV in Korea.
Yes.
Okay.
My name is Paco, P-A-K-O, Paco. I'm a writer from Botswana, work for the Botswana Press Agency. I write for the Daily News newspaper.
So how do you evaluate our two countries' bilateral relations?
I would say that in terms of directly Botswana and Korea, the two countries have had bilateral relations since the late 60s. And the two countries had good political, because of shared values, democracy. Botswana is Africa's oldest continuous multi-party democracy. And South Korea has done extremely well in terms of democracy, particularly since the 80s. And then there was a time when a couple of Korean companies, including Hyundai, they invested in Botswana around the year 2000 and started selling to the Southern Africa from Botswana base. So there is good relations, but there's still a need to improve, to do a lot more, especially in terms of investment. Botswana is the world's biggest producer of diamonds, and South Korea consumes a lot of jewelry and other. So, but Botswana sells mostly to Europe and the United States. So maybe Botswana should be selling more diamonds to Korea. So partnerships can certainly improve. In terms of continent-wide also, Korea and the continent of Africa can also improve, because Africa has been trading a lot in China, with China, but and of course with Europe and America, but there's a lot of room, because Korea is a very advanced, we can learn a lot more when it comes to things like ICT, digital economy from Korea. Oh, I forgot to say, in Botswana, there's been a couple of Korean TV dramas which went on Botswana television. I can't quite remember the names, but became very, very popular. In recent years, we've seen Korean popular culture starting to make its way into parts of Africa, you know, with K-pop and your TV and productions. So those are some of the things which could be, you know, partnerships in terms of cultural and of course tourism as well.
I had interesting conversations about Korea and Africa with journalists or diplomats from Africa. I think the best way to learn about a country is to communicate directly with its people. The organizers began preparing for the joint media conference. Then, shall we summarize what was discussed so far as we wrap up the first day of the Korea-Africa Summit?
At the 2024 Korea-Africa Summit, President Yoon, the leaders of 48 African countries, and representatives of 4 international organizations agreed to adopt the 2024 Korea-Africa Summit Joint Declaration.
그동안 한국과 아프리카는 지리적 거리에도 불구하고 발전의 열망을 공유하는 파트너로서 다양한 분야의 협력을 이어왔습니다. 그리고 한아프리카 관계의 새로운 장을 열게 된 오늘 회의에서 참석자들은 함께 만드는 미래를 위한 구체적 방안들을 심도 있게 논의했습니다.
Nous avons tous insisté sur la nécessité de bénéficier de l'expérience coréenne reconnue notamment dans 3 domaines clés: le capital humain, l'industrialisation et la digitalisation. Nous avons aussi montré les potentialités du continent africain en insistant sur les leviers importants.
한 아프리카 정상회의 두 번째 날이고요. 비즈니스 서밋이 열리는 날입니다. 저는 오늘은 새로운 이걸 받았어요. 이것도 지금 굉장히 사람들이 많이 분주하게 움직이고 있습니다.
The 2024 Korea-Africa Business Summit was held on the sidelines of the 2024 Korea-Africa Summit. The Business Summit was a large-scale economic event where key government and economic figures, as well as experts from Korea and Africa, gathered together to present and discuss agendas of interest to African countries such as industrial development, trade promotion, infrastructure improvement, agricultural productivity improvement, and climate change response.
Can you say hi?
Okay, hi.
Today, we will interview a special person who connects Korea and Africa. The Ethiopian embassy brought us together. He is the State Minister of the Ministry of Planning and Development of Ethiopia.
Based on your expertise, in which areas would you like to see more cooperation between Korea and Ethiopia?
So the first thing is in the manufacturing industry, to which it speaks a lot about Korean economy. And during our stay here, we've met some key business people and corporations in the manufacturing industry. Textile is one of a good example to which Ethiopia prioritizes textile and the garment industry for domestic consumption as well as for the export. So this is one of one key area. The energy sector is also one area that we've looked, mainly the renewable energy. Ethiopia's energy sector is largely renewable, focused on hydro, electric power. We have also other sources such as solar, to which Korean industries are building huge solar panels and solar technologies for the renewable energy. So this is also one area. The other is automobiles, the car productions and consumption in Ethiopia, in Africa is big. Can also be potential for the export.
So what topics were you particularly interested that were discussed in the summit, like yesterday's summit and today's business summit?
Korea should do more in Africa. So as we speak today, for example, from Ethiopian context, given the long-standing relationship between the two countries, and given how Korea developed over the last 7-8 decades, their participation in the Ethiopian economy, Ethiopian industrialization is very limited. So they should be doing more. And not only in terms of investment, there are also other social participation that we would expect from economies like Korea in the healthcare, in the education system, and also the climate change endeavors, to which there are actually one of the major points discussed on the summit is also that it's the right time that Korea is starting to strengthen the partnership with Africa. There are a lot to do now to strengthen Korea's presence in Africa, government-to-government relationship, society-to-society relationship, and also business participation.
So what kind of follow-up measures will be needed after the summit?
Yes, I think the first thing you could always see is the economic relationship always takes the first stage, not only through the government but through the private sectors. They do it for their own economic endeavor, and that's really important. And that I think we are going to see a lot of business and investment partnerships between Korean investors and African investors, mainly the Ethiopian investors. And the government-to-government relationship is also going to be strengthened because so many memorandum of understanding has been signed, and that is going to be put into practices by more making it official, designing programs, designing projects that would be started, as I said earlier, in the social endeavor, as well as other climate change issues that we have been discussing.
Korea and Africa. I hope that we will be able to cooperate comprehensively in various fields in the future.
여러분, 지금 아직 한창 비즈니스 서밋이 진행 중입니다. 그런데 저는 지금 잠깐 밖에 나왔어요. 왜냐면은 특별한 만남의 현장에 가보려고 합니다. 여러분, 혹시 저희 지난주 방송 보셨나요? 거기에 누가 나왔죠? 한국과 튀니지를 연결해주는 디플로맷이 나왔잖아요. 유라 코퍼레이션. 오늘 이 자리에 유라 코퍼레이션도 와 있거든요. 그런데 유라 코퍼레이션이 튀니지에서 온 초특급 게스트와 미팅을 가진다고 합니다. 그 미팅 자리를 저희도 함께 볼 수 있게 허락을 해주셨어요. 그래서 저희는 그 특별한 만남의 자리에 함께 동행하게 됐습니다.
Then, shall we go and see what kind of meeting it is? I also briefly met the Tunisian ambassador here. The special person Yura will meet today is the Prime Minister of Tunisia. The Prime Minister of Tunisia and the Tunisian delegation who visited Korea to attend the Korea-Africa Summit had a meeting with Yura Corporation today. What did the two sides discuss? A lot of events occurred on the sidelines of the summit. We were able to see some familiar faces at some of the events. Do you see the ambassador of Egypt over there? KINTEX and the Egyptian Agency of Partnership for Development signed a business agreement to promote triangular cooperation on this day. Not only for ODA, but also in tourism, forestry cooperation, agriculture. There are many opportunities for direct exchange between Korea and Africa in various fields. We will be able to expect more cooperation between Korea and Africa in all of these areas in the future, right?
한 아프리카 정상회의 가보자고.
Everyone, it is not over yet. We have one more interview with an important person left.
So, let's start at 10?
Yes, at 10.
It is an honor to meet you, Mr. Vice President.
Good morning.
This is the Vice President of Malawi. How did we get to interview the Vice President of Malawi?
The communication director for the Vice President's office.
On the first day of the Korea-Africa Summit, I met President Chief Communication Officer of Malawi. I told him that I wanted to interview Malawi's head of delegation,
He's here.
and he introduced me to the Vice President's Chief Communication Officer.
Tomorrow. Let me give you a context so we can discuss. Give me a context.
That is how the interview came to take place. Then let's start the interview with the Vice President now.
So, Mr. Vice President, how do you feel about attending the first Korea-Africa Summit?
It's a very good feeling, I must say, in the sense that first, it's a statement of intention to expand by Korea, and in a good way, because you want to expand and grow, not alone, but with others. I think that's the theme of the summit. And this is confirmed in the commitment that the Korean government has made, which is in total about 24 billion as a resource envelope. That's going to help both Korean companies and African governments to work together towards 2030, and then of course beyond that. So I feel very good about it. It was the first one of its kind, and I look forward to what comes out of it, because we have made our case for a business opportunity and investment opportunities back in Malawi, and I would like to believe everyone has for their own country. But it couldn't have happened at a better time. We are in a situation where we need to grow further infrastructure and the related issues.
So, what topics were you particularly interested that were discussed in the summit?
We have discussed trade and investment. We have discussed how we can create jobs for the youth. Africa is a very youthful continent. we've also looked at opportunities for export into Korea. And in our case, we've signed a trade framework between the Commerce Ministry here and our Trade and Industry Ministry back home. I have also particularly liked the attention that has been drawn to the climate-related, shocks. The whole conversation around climate change and how we can do both mitigation as well as eventually restoration. And therefore, over and above the many, we're also looking at improving bilateral and multilateral relationships that exist between countries. But I think what took center stage here is the economic diplomacy, to see how we could improve on how we transact one and another.
So how do you evaluate our bilateral relationship so far?
Between Malawi and Korea?
Yes.
Well, I would say that at this stage, there isn't anything that is amiss. There are some students from Malawi that are studying here, and there are some Korean nationals in Malawi that are also working. We have a hospital there. We have one or two Korean business people that are also back in Malawi. And there's also been some business transactions that have happened over the years. We do have a significant presence of Korean products. Technology-wise, we have Samsung, we have LG. Vehicles, we have Kia, we have Hyundai. I've seen a few interesting brands of motor vehicles here. So, look, I think what I've seen in the past, all I can say is it needs to be taken to another level, because it can surely be mutually beneficial to both governments as well as to both peoples.
South Korea and Malawi established diplomatic relations on March 9, 1965. And a South Korean diplomatic mission opened in Malawi in 1985, but it shut down in 1992. Today, the South Korean ambassador to Zimbabwe serves concurrently as the ambassador to Malawi, while Malawi's ambassador to Japan also serves as its ambassador to South Korea. Looking at trade relations between Korea and Malawi, we can see trade has gradually increased. In 2023, the volume of trade between the two countries reached $48 million. To Korea, Malawi mainly exports leaf tobacco, aluminum scrap, and raw sugar, while it imports Korean pharmaceuticals, lead-acid batteries, and other fine chemical products. In 2022, a bilateral economic and technical cooperation agreement went into effect, and as a follow-up to this agreement, the first Korea-Malawi Joint Committee was held in January 2024. Exchanges between the two countries are taking place in areas other than the economy. Daeang University, established by a Korean shipping company, produced 130 graduates this year. In November last year, the King Sejong Institute, which promotes Korean language education and Korean culture, opened in Malawi. It is the 14th King Sejong Institute established on the African continent.
So in what areas do you want Korea and Malawi to work together more?
So there is agriculture, and that has got to work in many ways. Research, technology transfer or knowledge transfer, and then of course trade at the same time. What can we get from here? What can you get from Malawi? Mining is a massive opportunity. We have rare earth, we have gemstones, we have rutile, we have uranium. We have had a 2-day summit, okay? The main summit and the business summit. You really cannot conclude everything in those 48 hours. So what we'll be doing is that as we go back, we'll be following up, because we now have established our contacts. So my colleagues and I, so colleagues that came with me from agriculture, trade, finance, foreign affairs, information and digitalization, every one of them including myself, we have made contacts and we will surely be following through. So agriculture there is one, mining there is a second, technology, which is why the Minister of Information and Digitalization is here. Transport. We have lake transport as a massive opportunity. I did mention this to the Prime Minister of Korea. Korea is big with shipbuilding. If they come into Malawi, there is that opportunity. There's an opportunity to partner with Korea Airways for air transport. So logistics is also one thing. So it's a whole mixed bag of opportunities on either side. The Korea story is an inspiring one, I did say, from where you have been to where you are now, to a 1.6, close to $1.7 trillion GDP economy. That's not a small leap, but it took a lot of commitment, discipline, patriotism, hard work, etc. And including just the ways of life, the ways of doing business is good enough to share. So in simple terms, I would say that we have so much that we can share. We have so much in common. Perhaps you have moved on from where you were back in the days, and I'm sure that it is the intention of every Malawian to see. I mean, the students I met with yesterday were almost like, can you go and make sure that this happens, that happens. So, the passion is there, and it's a very good thing for us for the future.
Korea and Africa. I hope that the two sides can use this summit as an opportunity to grow together in the true sense of the word. We're concluding the Are Diplomats 2-week special feature on the Korea-Africa Summit with today's episode. While preparing for the 2-week feature, I met a variety of people. Ambassadors from African countries in Korea, diplomats promoting Africa in Korea, diplomats who came from Africa to Korea to promote the summit, and even those involved in summit diplomacy. By talking with them, I learned a lot of things I didn't know about Korea and Africa. I like to think I was reborn as a diplomat connecting Korea and Africa through this summit. Diplomats connecting Korea and Africa, please continue to work hard in your respective fields to bring Korea and Africa closer together.
So after the summit, I hope that Korea and Zambia becomes much closer friends.
Yes, certainly. That is our hope and belief as well.
Lucky.
지금부터 미디어 센터에서의 상황을 좀 찍고 있도록 하겠습니다.